Welcome to How Now, the podcast where we talk about how to live in the now. And here's your host, Kim Martin Raymond.
Peace and blessings, and welcome to another edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am your host, Kim Martin Raymond. I'm a minister, spiritual life coach, author, and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to align themselves mind, body, and spirit. And welcome again to season 2 of the How Now podcast. And if you are new to listening to the How Now podcast, please make sure that you go by my website, www.hownowpodcast.com. And that way you can keep up with my current shows. You can click on a link to see some of our shows that we did from season 1. And you can also click on a link to our YouTube channel. So we have a How Now YouTube channel where you can check out the things that we're doing on the How Now episodes. You can watch them, or you can also check out my wellness journey that I've been on since last September. So again, go to www.hownowpodcast.com and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Okay, so again, we're here with another episode. And the one thing that we're going to talk about today is going from brokenness to being in a space of beauty. Okay. And with that, we're going to be talking a little bit about how when we have trauma in our lives or tragedy in our lives, how we respond to that, tells us if we can move and transition and be transformed, whether it be through, a spiritual experience, through our experience with God. There are many ways in which we can move from a space of brokenness to a space of beauty. And this guest that I have with me today, this beautiful young lady that you see sitting here, is going to help to, peel back the layers and to talk about that process. And as is customary with the How Now podcast, I'm going to have her to introduce herself at this time.
Thank you so much, Kim, for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely.
I am so excited and honored and blessed to be here. And I'm so proud of you for your wellness journey.
Thank you.
You told me about that at the beginning here, and I'm just so proud of you. You are amazing, absolutely amazing, and you look beautiful.
Thank you.
So you'd like to know who is Rena Groot? Well, I'd like to know too. I think God only knows for sure.
That's
but
right.
There's a few things I can tell you about my life, but I don't know if that tells you who I am. But I have a Bachelor of Education from the University of Alberta in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Master's of Religious Education from the Southern Baptist Seminary in Cochrane, Alberta. I've been a teacher in Canada and a high school teacher in China. I am an author of 7 books. I've been a tour manager from the Rocky Mountains all the way to the Pacific Ocean. I've been a missionary to the ends of the earth, literally. I'm a mother of 4 adult children. I'm a survivor of narcissistic abuse. And best of all, I'm a child of the living God.
Yes. And I am so thrilled and honored to have you here on the show and to talk about this process of brokenness to beauty. And you actually have created a course by that same name, Broken to Be. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Broken to Beautiful, transforming.
Transformed by God's power.
Transformed by God's power. And that is a beautiful title for your course. And so, of course, before we talk a little bit about that, let's talk about how you got to that space. You talked about, being a missionary. You've talked about, being in a narcissistic abusive relationship. So I'm sure that portions of those aspects of your life have led you to creating this course. So talk to us a little bit about how you developed that.
Well, it starts off actually in childhood. I was basically abandoned
Oh,
and put into foster homes. And so I had this deep-seated feeling of not being wanted, of being rejected, unloved. I felt like I was just kind of a fixture in people's homes. And I knew that I was there because they were getting money for me. And I knew that was the only reason I was important to them. And so I had this deep-seated feeling of I'm not enough. Like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not desirable, I'm not something somebody would want. And so because of that, that impacted my life so much that when I became an adult, a very inappropriate person asked me to marry them. And I had the feeling like I will never find anyone better. No one else will want me. And so I said yes, and I married this person. And I don't want to make it sound melodramatic, but to me, it was hell on earth. I'll just give you a quick example.
Yes.
So the first year of our marriage, he would come home every day and just turn on the TV as soon as he walked in the door and sit in front of the TV from as soon as he walked in the door until he went to bed. He had his meals in front of the TV and everything. He didn't even talk to me. And so thankfully I was a school teacher. I had another life. Otherwise I would have probably gone crazy.
Wow.
And so finally at one point, I think probably about maybe 4 months in after all this, I said, either the TV is going to go or I do, because I can't live like this. Right. And so the TV went, but nothing changed. Like we still didn't talk. And it was the strangest experience. I don't know why I married this man. But anyway, well, I do, because I didn't think I deserved anybody better. And so I suggested to him, let's go to this marriage enrichment course for a weekend. And, maybe that'll help us. It'll give us some ideas. So he said yes. So we went. And the very first night, the speaker said, I want you to take this piece of paper with questions on it and go to your room and talk to each other and ask each other these questions and answer the questions and everything. So we went to the room, and there was a sign posted on the TV that said, like, you're here for each other, no TV for you this weekend. So the first thing he did was, when he walked in the room, is tore the sign off the TV, turned on the TV and started to watch a hockey game. And I went, we're here to talk to each other. Like, can we talk? And he didn't even look at me. He said, sure, go ahead, talk. And I said, like, if you're not really interested in being here, then what's the point? And he goes, you're absolutely right. There's no point to this. And he got up and grabbed his suitcase and left. And he left me there by myself for the whole weekend.
Oh, wow.
So all these couples having all these cozy romantic dinners together by candlelight and flowers. And I was sitting by myself at my table, and I thought, I paid for this weekend. I'm determined to learn something. I'm going to get my money's worth out of this. So at the end of the weekend, I called him to get a ride home. He didn't answer the phone. So I called a friend who came and picked me up. And I was so upset I couldn't go home. I stayed with my friend for a week. And then I thought, I was teaching school, going to school every day, being the happy teacher. And meanwhile, inside I was dying, right? I was like, what the heck, So at the end of the week, I thought, I can't stay with this friend forever. That's not fair to her. So I went to my house my apartment, opened the door, and my husband was standing there, my ex-husband, thank God. Anyways, he was standing there, and he looked at me, and the look on his face was, oh, it's you. So I didn't know what narcissistic abuse was about. Like, I found out January 25th, 2019, I found out about his deep, dark other life. And oh my gosh, I just broke, like my heart broke. I felt like I was having a heart attack. I went to emergency at the hospital because I thought I was dying. I thought my heart was in massive defibrillation, I guess they call it. And they checked me out and they said, nope, nothing wrong with you. And I'm going, my heart is killing me. It's hurting so badly. And so anyways, after I found out about his other life, I still gave him another chance because I thought, maybe things could get better, and they got worse. So it was brutal. So I've just filed for divorce. So in probably a month or two, I will be divorced. So I'm so
Wow.
thankful.
Wow.
But just the pain that I felt was so unbelievable. And so we were already apart at this point, and I was sitting in this very chair, crying my eyes out, like sobbing, like I didn't know people could sob, feeling pain like I didn't know people could feel. And
Wow.
I all of a sudden felt God's arms around me, holding me. And it was just like a father would hold his child.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have a father, I felt like maybe I appreciated it 100 times more than a normal person would appreciate it, right?
Right.
And it was just like he was just holding me, and it was like I felt like it's going to be okay. I'll be fine. And that was kind of the turnaround. That's when things started to change for me. And then my sister sent me some affirmations. I'm beautiful, I'm loved, I'm worthy, I am
Yes.
valuable, I am powerful. And so I put all Christian, like scriptures to those.
Mhm.
And so actually on my Rena Groot website, on my Rena Groot Facebook page, I have those affirmations that people can sign up for. And I've got like more, like I elaborated. And it was just like a lifeline to me. It was like something that I would read every day. And I just felt like God was just transforming me as I read his word, as I looked to him, as I trusted him, because otherwise I don't even know if I'd be alive.
Yeah. Wow. All right, so let's peel back some of the layers here that you've talked about so far, because it's important for people to see, because your trauma started very young, like you said, with the abandonment of your parents and that feeling of not having, not feeling worthy or feeling valued. And we know that a lot of people go through that feeling, on different levels. You experienced yours at a level that, was so close, your own family, your own parents. And so I'm sure that, like I said, that stayed with you and that resonated with you for all of those years. And then, like you said, the feelings of inadequacy or feeling like you were just a means to an end for your foster families, that's a lot to go through as a child. And then, I'm sure, in school to have to put on that facade, that everything is okay and that I'm okay or that I'm all right. And having to kind of go through that bit of self-talk to help you to be able to go through that. And then, it's very familiar when you talk about, um, marrying your husband and feeling as though, you weren't going to be able to find anyone better than that. And that's
No
something
one
that,
else will ever ask me.
right, right. And that resonated with me with my first marriage, because I was over 300 pounds and I just thought, I'm a big person. Nobody's going to ever ask me. I better jump on this opportunity while I can, because nobody's going to want to be with me because they're already, I'm fat, I'm not attractive. Nobody's going to want to be with me. And so, that was my rationale for marrying my first husband as well. I was just like, oh, nobody's going to wait. And so it's amazing how, situations are different, but we set it in our mind that, oh, well, this is as good as it's going to get for me. So I better jump on any opportunity that I can get, because I don't know that it's ever going to happen for me again.
Exactly.
But we know that the situation changed for you because you said you had 4 children.
Yeah.
And and that you worked in the school system. So let's talk a little bit about how, you got to that space of God's arms being around you and realizing that things are going to be okay. But you were all, you didn't appear to resonate or to reside in a space of despair, because you went through the process of going to school, becoming certified to teach, and to learning to love the children and the work that you were doing as an educator. Now my question for you is, when you were teaching, were you also involved in the church at that point where you were talking about missionary work, or did that come after?
I was involved with the church from when I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
And so in the summers, I would go off and like I'd counsel at a Bible camp, or I'd go to Haiti or go to Uganda, or just like all over the place.
Wow.
Just so many different places. It was incredible. So I just feel like when I was at my deepest, darkest moments in all of my journey, God was always there. He always showed up. Can I just tell you one that happened when I was in university?
Sure.
I just felt like, well, I'd gotten into this yoga class, and it was Kundalini yoga. And I remember the teacher saying that you have this serpent coiled at the base of your spine. Like this should have been my warning right there. Something's off.
Right.
And she said that we are going to meditate, and we're going to release this serpent, and it's a life force. Something did release, and there was like this big black dark hole right in my chest. I could feel it.
Wow.
And it was like, it was empty. It was void of anything. And I felt like it was growing. And I felt like it was just going to overtake me. I was going to be completely black inside.
Wow.
And I knew that when that happened, I wasn't going to care about anyone or anything. And I thought, I don't want to get to that place. So I was living in student residence for university. I was on the 18th floor of an apartment building. There's a lot of university suicides. It's really crazy, especially around exam time. So anyway, I felt like I have nothing to live for. And I was going, because of this darkness inside me, it was so oppressive. It was like I was filling up with depression, and it was like I was bottoming out. And I felt like I need to jump out the window. I'm going to jump out this 18-story apartment building window, and that's going to be the end. And then I'm not going to hurt anybody, because I won't be in this state where I don't care about anyone. And so this was the weirdest thing. Like, this has really changed my perspective about a lot of the spirit realm, because I felt like there was something grabbing me right from that dark spot and was pulling me to the window. Wow. And I felt like if I was close to the window, I knew I was going to be pushed. I knew I wasn't going to have any options. It would have been a demonic murder. And I felt like I almost grabbed onto the table, like just a minute here, I'm still thinking, because the pull was so strong. It was incredible. And then I looked at the window again, and it was a bright sunny day. There was no clouds or anything. And then when I looked at it again, it was like there was all clouds in front of the window, and so thick that you couldn't see through the clouds. And yet I could see into the clouds, and I could see a throne. And I was like, okay, this is bizarre. And then you couldn't see anyone on the throne because it was so thick clouds. Right. But I knew that there was someone sitting on the throne, and I couldn't see his face, but I knew he was crying. Wow. And I knew it was Jesus. And he said to me, Rena, this is not my plan for your life. And if you turn your life over to me, I will bring more beauty out of your life than you could possibly imagine at this moment. And then this is really, I mean, it's already crazy, but it got even crazier. You know how they say when people die, they see their life pass before their eyes? I saw my life pass before my eyes, just like in a split second. It just was like, boom. And there was this whole scene, and it was so fast that, of course, you don't see details. Right. But I, in my spirit, I picked up that this is such an incredible life. I would be insane to throw that life out the window, because God has such incredible things in store for this life. I was like, okay, I'm yours. I'm turning my life over to you. And that's when things all started to change.
That is amazing. I love that you shared that, because it goes to show that, just like there are forces in this world that are beyond our understanding for that are not for our good, there are those forces that are our blessings. There are those forces that allow us to see that, in the midst of a storm, there is light, and I love that you were able to experience God in that moment. And that's beautiful. It was amazing.
Beautiful. Like, if I hadn't experienced it, I'd probably think, oh, that's just a story. Like, come on, that's ridiculous. But I was there. So I know it happened.
That's it. And
It
that's
was
beautiful.
incredible.
And that's what you want. You know, the one thing, and I've spoken about this in one of my workshops, talking about a mosaic, because I think that there are, a lot of broken pieces in a lot of our lives, things that have happened, things that have caused trauma in our lives. But there's this intertwining of God and his presence and all that he seeks to do in and through our lives.
Yeah.
And that almost becomes that cement that takes all of those shards, that we would say they were like broken glass, all of those shards and pieces of our life that were traumatic, that were hurtful, and that almost seemed to cut us deep. And his love and his grace and his mercy were like that cement that pours over it and makes this beautiful mosaic. So it takes those shattered pieces and it brings them back together, and it makes something so beautiful and so unique. And that's what I love, because each one of us is a mosaic. Each one of us has experiences that may have been similar, but the results may have been different. But when they're cemented in God's love and his grace and his mercy, it becomes this beautiful mosaic that's just, like I said, unique to us. And then we're who he calls us to be. And then people can see the beauty. They no longer see the broken pieces. They see the art. They see the beauty of what it's become.
Exactly. I actually talk about that. I talk about that in my course, one of the examples, and I show a picture of this bowl, a pottery bowl that was all smashed, and all the pieces are together with gold.
Yes.
And it's called kintsugi. It's
Yes.
from Japan, and for me, it's an example of what God does with our lives. Like, you could just be this pottery bowl and you look nice, but when you've got the gold or the silver or the platinum all woven into all the fragments of your life, all of a sudden you've got this amazing, beautiful piece of art.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I was thinking when I put my course together too, like broken to beautiful. I thought of that pot.
And I love that. And I love that you use the analogy of a bowl, because, we have to be sure that we're filling ourselves as well. And I believe in always filling ourselves to overflow, so that way, when we're pouring into others, we're not, just pouring from a space and leaving nothing for ourselves. I believe in pouring, from a place of overflow, so that way we can toast together. We can, come together and celebrate our successes, and we can celebrate how we've overcome or how we've transformed without having any animosity, because now it's just not, I've poured into you and now I have nothing for myself. So now I'm looking at you like, well, you took everything from me. I have nothing left for me. We're pouring from a space of overflow, so we have something for both of us, that we can both enjoy, and that we can both experience, the beauty that is being full. So I love that. I absolutely love that. But, like I said, what a testimony to be able to move from that space and to overcome, because I know that that's a difficult thing for a lot of people to do, to be able to move from that space.
Well, it's funny, because I've said to God, whatever it takes to make me who you want me to be, do it. And if I kick and scream, just ignore me.
Right. That's right.
He's honored that prayer.
Yes. Yes. Because many of us, it's about obedience.
Yeah.
It's about obedience. He calls us to do things, and sometimes we get in a space of saying, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Or that negative self-talk comes back in, and you're just like, nope, I can't do it. You can't possibly want me to do it. I'm not qualified. And that's something, where we see that obedience and our relationship with God can abound, because you could have gone any kind of way with this. You could have said, no, I can't possibly write a book. I can't possibly write a course about this. I mean, I could talk about my experiences, but who's going to want to listen to me?
Oh, that's exactly what I said. Word for word.
Wow.
And I actually sat crying in front of the computer going, God, are you serious? This is a joke, right? You want me to put this course together? What?
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
because we could speak from that experience. Like you said, it's us being able to say, okay, yeah, I've lived this.
Yeah.
And I've persevered.
Exactly.
And I've been transformed, like you said, by God. And because I've been transformed, I can share that testimony.
And it's not finished.
No.
It's ongoing. Just like your transformation, like you've gone from a place of brokenness, and I see a beautiful woman in front of me, and you said you're not done. You
No.
still want to carry on with like losing weight and becoming more who God made you to be, designed you to be.
It is. And it comes from a space of strength. It comes from something, like you said, that's so deep deep inside of you. People who know me know my story, and they know that I lost my youngest daughter 13 years ago to a brain aneurysm. She was 16 and I lost my youngest daughter. And the one thing that kept me going was remembering that God doesn't make mistakes. So I wasn't angry and angry at him and put my fist up and said, "You took my baby." No. She came and she did all that she was supposed to do while she was here. And I'm grateful for the relationship and the love that I got to give her. But as my child, God blessed her with me, and when she was born, I had to give her back to him and to allow him to do a work in and through her life. And so, it was with that understanding that I was able to move from that space of being broken and missing my daughter. The tears are going to roll because we're human. We're human living, we're living a human experience, but we're spiritual beings. And so, you have to be able to understand that relationship. And my relationship with God was strong, and at that time, for me to understand that I gave my baby back to God. And yes, the human part of me is sad and misses her and cries every now and then and has sweet memories of her. But at the same time, I understand that that's where she needed to be. And so when you get to that, then you can begin to start rebuilding and continuing to find purpose, and that's what started me into coaching and doing the things that I'm doing. So we're all put on this earth for a purpose, and it's just our journey to find out what that purpose is, and how we can go about honoring what it is that he's called us to do.
Exactly.
So I love that. Like I said, I love that you're doing this course, and that you've taken your experiences and you said, okay, I'm still in the midst of this, but it has not jaded you. Because I see a beautiful woman sitting in front of me, and the smile lets me know that yes, you're in a space of peace, and it's not easy to get there. And I want people to understand that it's a process. It's not something that happens overnight, but it's not where we've let our experience be that determining factor that says, okay, well, this is the end, when it's only the beginning.
Right.
So again, talk to me a little bit more about the course and how you've structured that, and what that's going to look like for those who will participate in it.
So it's a 6-week course, and there are going to be amazing guest speakers like Kim, for example.
Thank you so much.
And there's going to be a Facebook Live group that we are going to meet together every week and talk about what happened that week and the course and what we're learning. And so for 6 weeks, there'll be modules that will be sent out. And there are 3 lessons to do in the week. And honestly, God put them together because they're so amazing. Like when I was writing some of it, I just sat crying because it was just so beautiful. And I thought this is going to really help someone. And it's about being healthy, spirit, soul, and body. And it's about strategies for overcoming the lies that we're not good enough, smart enough, all that kind of stuff. And so it's transformational, and it will help people to have strategies themselves, like to know how to overcome when life gets dark and life gets hard. And it'll just make them stronger. Like we talk about strongholds and that the enemy tries to bring into our lives, but there's a opposite. God has a stronghold that he wants us to dwell in. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Like he wants us to dwell in his presence, and we're safe from the nonsense of the enemy. So there's a journal that I've put together that goes with the course. And the journal isn't exactly like the course, because otherwise what would be the point of having the journal, right? But so every week there's a few things that are the same as the course, but there's things that are different that gives you different insights that you won't get in the course, or you won't get if you have, if you don't have the journal, you miss that part of it. And so it's just something to enrich it. And it's big, it's beautiful, it's 8 by 11, and it's the price of a paperback.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I think it'll be a blessing to people, unless that's the black and white one, and then there's the color one that is gorgeous. But so you get one of those as a thank you for being on my
well, I'm excited. I'm excitedly waiting for mine to come. I'm like, yes, I am excited about that. But I love that, it's something that's interactive. The course is not just something that you're just, listening to or reading. There are actually portions of it where you're able to connect with people. And I think that that's critical in any coursework that we're doing, and anything that we're talking about, that we have an opportunity to express ourselves, and to talk about what it is that we've read, and to make sure that we are comprehending it and that we can have a conversation about it. So I love that the course is interactive, because sometimes we can read things and we may not understand, or we may have an additional question. So it's nice that you're creating that Facebook that Facebook page where people can have a conversation, because that's what it's about. It's about moving us, and I say this always on my show, moving us from a space of fear to a space of knowledge, and then to a space of empowerment where we can reach back and help others, just as you're doing in this course. You're reaching back and helping people, because it's about being able to cope. And again, that's the acronym for Create Our Peaceful Existence. What are we doing to help create our peaceful existence? And in this time of COVID, and people having to sit with themselves and having to figure some things out, as you said, we need tools and resources, and I think that your life experience, even in teaching and doing missionary work, it gave you the tools that you needed to be able to cope with the situations that you were going through, and you even realizing during the course of your marriage that you needed help. You needed to have someone step in and provide a resource to help you to deal with that. So you never, got to a space where you felt, oh, this is hopeless, or it's helpless. This situation is always going to be for me. And I'm sure that there may have been times, but there were opportunities for you to see that wasn't the case,
So also another thing is that I'd like to assign prayer partners, like where two people are together and they message each other or phone each other. They can encourage each other and walk through the 6 weeks together. And I'm hoping that God will build friendships that will last for life.
Yes, and that's a part of building that network of people that you have that encourage and enlighten you and move you away from those that are, those toxic relationships. It's like I said that.
And even ideas like that, it's like I don't take credit for it. I feel like God just kind of gives me these ideas, and I go, oh, well, yeah, that's a great idea.
Right. And then again, there's that obedience and saying, okay, well, this is something that I need to add to it. Yeah. So it's just value, it's just added value all the way around. I love that you've created this course, and that you are creating this space for people who are going through trauma and going through periods of brokenness, to see that there is actually a space where you can be transformed, and that you take them through the steps of transformation, because that's the beautiful thing.
And it's hard to have gone through it because, like, for most of my marriage, I felt like I was just a piece of furniture. Like I wasn't of any value to my husband. He didn't love me. I was treated like he would treat a stranger almost. In fact, he treated strangers better. So there were times I said to him, could you please treat me like you treat a stranger? And yeah, so it was really hard.
Yeah, yeah. But then I sit here and I see this transformed person in front of me, and I'm like, yes, it lets people know that things, things are possible. All things are possible
Exactly.
through Christ, who gives us strength, who strengthens us.
He
That
does.
gives us the fortitude and the wherewithal to say, what somebody else doesn't see, I see, and God sees. And it's almost as though looking in the mirror and say, I see the God in me. And that's what, as believers and Christians, we want those who interact with us to see God in us.
Mhm.
But it's how much more priceless is it when we see God in ourselves, when we look in the mirror and say, I see the God in me. I see the relationship that I have with him. I
Mhm.
see all of those things, that he's promised. I see those things in me, and I can, not only glean from that, through my reading the scriptures and my understanding and my relationship with him, that I can share that. I'm not going to hide that light under a bush. I'm going to go out and I'm going to let my light so shine so that others may see.
Amen. You go, girl. Woo!
I love that. I love that. But that's what your course is going to evoke. The importance of knowing who we are, and how we can move to that space of beauty, and how we can operate in that space of beauty. Even in the midst, like you said, in the midst of your divorce, you're still smiling, because we know that we're not sitting here saying, oh, well, we're promoting divorce or anything like that. Because I'm a product of divorce myself, several, and so and we'll leave it at that. But just to be able to understand that there are seasons in our lives, there are things that we experience on a human level, but our relationship with him is so much more. It transcends that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I absolutely love that like I said, that you have created this document, that you've created this course, and that hopefully within those 6 weeks, and beyond, you've laid the foundation. And then those who have created those relationships through Facebook, through the prayer partnerships, that we've created lifelong friendships and support systems that are going to help people to continue to walk in that space, because we want all of the journeys that we're in to be some type of lifelong journey, not something that's just a quick fix, not something that's just, oh, it's just 6 weeks and then we can just check that off our list of things that we did. You don't want to go, check, done, we're done with that. Okay, oh, we did that. Okay, check. No, we want it to be something that we can glean from and learn from, and take those resources and say, okay, I can take this and I can use this in any aspect of my life.
Exactly. It's going to be transformational. It's going to change habits. It's going to change lives. I know it. I know God's fingerprints are all over it. So it's going to be amazing.
I love it. I love it. Is
so
there a,
I'm going to have 2 webinars to tell people what the course is about, like a free webinar. So on February 10th, there'll be a webinar at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And then on February 17th, they're both Thursdays, at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, because then that's like 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so I couldn't do it any later. There'll be a webinar, and it will tell all about the course, and then people can sign up for it then if they like. And if they sign up during the webinars, I will send them a free copy of my book, A Life Set Free.
Nice. Nice.
So
that's
just to explain something, because people might have questions like, so how did you do all this missionary stuff and all this?
Right.
My husband, basically, he was a pastor, and
Wow.
he quit, and he basically ran away. He went to work in another province in northern camps, like working like in the oil fields and that.
Mhm.
So for the spring, no, like for fall, winter, spring, he would be working in the northern camps. All summer, he'd be driving tour buses.
Oh,
So
okay.
for 12 years, I basically never saw him.
Wow.
And so when we did see each other, I just felt like I was just another person. Like I wasn't his wife. I was nobody special.
Wow.
So yeah, and
Wow.
so that's when, like a few years ago, 4 years ago, actually, I quit my teaching position at the Christian school where I was teaching at the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to go and live with my aunt, who was like my mom. Like she took me in when I was 14. And I was going to go live with her and look after her because she was in her 90s. She had a big house, a big garden. So I thought I can house clean for her. I can
Right.
look after her garden. I can make meals for her. I can be there for her because she was there for me when I needed someone, and I just wanted to do something for her. And then she ended up falling and going into the hospital, and they put her on some kind of a medication that just made her tiny bit of Alzheimer's just morph into great massive Alzheimer's. And so then she had a living will, and so the trust company just took over, and all of a sudden all these other people were living in her house looking after her like care aides, and I wasn't needed anymore.
Wow.
Everything I was going to do was being done by someone else.
Right.
And so I'd go visit there, and it was just, too much for her to have so many people around. So I hardly could even visit. And I'd already given up my teaching position. And so I thought, well, now what do I do with myself? And so I asked my ex-husband, what do you think about me getting a job at an international school? Because there were no jobs where I was. They were all taken. And he was all for it. Sure, go.
Right.
So I did.
Wow.
So I went to China.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was quite the experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because I mean, and I'm glad that you did answer that question, because yes, I'm sure our listeners were kind of like, okay, so yeah, how did all the mission work and
Yeah.
the schooling and the
Because he
education?
wasn't around. So
Yeah.
in the summers, I just did missions work. I'd
Yeah.
take off, and go for 2 months. And then actually what happened, it was really cool, is when I was going to go live with my aunt, and then she ended up in the hospital that fall, I was already thinking, I don't know what to do with myself. So I thought, well, I've always wanted to go to Israel, like for the Feast of Tabernacles. It'd be so much fun. So I said to my husband, what do you think? My ex-husband, is it okay, with you if I go? Sure, go.
Right.
Leave.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
went for 2 months. And then when I was coming back at the airport, I remember walking by where people were lined up to get a flight to China. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, China, how exotic. Like, I wonder where they're going and what they're doing. And meanwhile, God's laughing, because about 3 months after that, I was on a plane to China.
But all of these opportunities,
Yeah.
I think about some people and being in some of the more painful narcissistic type relationships, and having that person, gaslighting and saying
Yeah.
things and making that person feel, not significant. But for him to say, oh, go to Israel, go to China, the opportunity there to be
Yeah.
able to go and to interact with other people and
It
to
was awesome.
experience those kinds of opportunities, I don't want to say it, so it was almost like he did you a favor, and
Yeah,
and allowing you to be able to go and to experience other people, other cultures, and I'm sure that changed. I've been to Haiti a number of times through the foundation that I'm associated with, and yes, it changes your perspective on empathy and how you treat others, and then you can compare it to your own existence. So and you going those places, it prepared you for where you are right now.
It did.
And so I love that you were given that opportunity. Like you said, God was laughing, like, okay, wait a minute, because I got something for you. Stay tuned. He was like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
He was like, here's
Yeah.
the funny part right here.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna send you over there too, and you're gonna get an
Exactly.
opportunity to
Yeah.
see. So yeah,
And then when I was in China, I had a really funny thing. Do I still have time to tell
you
you?
do. Absolutely.
Okay, this was funny. We had a week off that we had no school. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to stay in my tiny apartment for the week. I want to do something.
Right.
I'd love to go see China. And so a friend of mine that I was teaching with that is Chinese, but she's from Canada. I loved her. I loved my Jane. She was beautiful. And she was an older lady, and she would just drag me around everywhere. Come on, let's go get manicures, or let's go get a massage. Or
Right.
she was so cute. So like, back rub or whatever. And so anyways, she said, well, why don't we go together to some place in China? And she spoke Chinese. So I thought, this is perfect.
Right.
And we'll go travel together and, for the week. And then it was funny because when I first heard that I had this week off, I had this thought kind of flip through my mind. I should go to Thailand. And I was like, Thailand? What? Why Thailand? I don't know anybody. I don't know where I'd go. I don't know what I would do. So I just dismissed that thought, right? And I was all on board to go traveling with my friend to somewhere exotic in China.
Right.
And then, because I thought, I'm here, like the chances of me coming here again, like who knows? And so anyways, about maybe 2 weeks before we were supposed to go somewhere, she said, oh, I can't go with you. I'm sorry. And I went, why? And she said, well, because my parents want me to spend that week with them. And in China, parents trump everything.
Right.
Like if you disobey your parents, it's probably the most horrible thing you can do. Like, excuse me, another little rabbit trail, another friend that was my doctor, she was Chinese. She said that her mother wanted her to go into medicine and become a doctor. And she said to her mother, I don't want to be a doctor. It's not of interest to me. Don't even talk to me about it. And the mother said, I'm going to stop eating until you go enroll into med school.
Wow.
So my doctor said it was better to become a doctor than watch your mother starve to death and be responsible for that.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, so my friend couldn't go traveling with me because her parents wanted her, this other friend. And so all of a sudden, so I thought, okay, now what do I do with myself for the week? Because I'm not going to sit in this little apartment for the week by myself. And then all of a sudden, this Thailand thing went through my mind again. I was like, that is bizarre. Anyways, I checked my email. I had a message from this missions thing, global missions or something. They were having this global national convention kind of deal in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And I looked at the date, and it was exactly the week I had off. So guess where I went?
To Thailand.
Yeah, and it was the coolest thing. Wow. It was so cool because it was a missions conference, and it was funny because the first night there were 39 nations represented, and they told us some of these are restricted access nations. Do not take any photos, because if you take a photo, and you post it, you could be risking someone's life. And it was funny though, because there was 39 nations, and I just had in my head, this is wrong. There should be 40. And I thought, why am I even thinking that? Why do I think there should be 40? How do I know how many there should be?
Right.
The next day they said, Sri Lanka or whatever it was, has just arrived. We're 40 nations now. And it was like, no, it feels right.
Right. Wow.
It was the coolest experience. There was a Chinese man that got up on the platform and was talking to us. And he said how he was from mainland China. And he said that he would go to his friends. He was like a pastor, evangelist kind of person. And he said he had so many doors closed in his face because the police were after him because of his evangelism. And he said that people would say to him, please leave and do not come back. We don't want to ever see you again.
Wow.
Because their lives were in danger if they associated with him.
Right.
So he was telling us this. And then he said, but God sent a group of men that just appeared, that came to him, and they said, we will stand with you no matter what. We will stand with you even into prison and unto death. And as he said that group of men came up on the platform and stood with him. Wow. And I just burst out crying.
Wow.
It's like, God, you're so awesome. You're so incredibly awesome.
That's it.
And it
And
was actually like a little
Yeah.
taste of heaven, because all of these 40 nations, like one night they had this thing where they all came out in their tribal costumes, like somebody would be from the Philippines and wear whatever they would wear. And they did dances and they sang in their language and they prayed over us in their language. It was like, this is like I've died and gone to heaven.
Yes.
It was so awesome.
But see, and the parallels, of feeling, undervalued, and then going and feeling like you have experienced heaven on earth. I mean, the parallels in your life alone, and to be able to have that translate into your coursework, and to show how we can move from that place and how we can be so transformed by the experiences that we have. So many wonderful blessings that you had in comparison to some of the tragedies and trauma that you had as well.
I know.
And how it almost seems to have trumped it. I'm just like, I am fascinated at the spectrum of things that have occurred in your life that make you more than competent and capable of creating a beautiful course like this, to share those experiences and to show people how they can move into that space and how it's possible, to be able to operate in that space and to finally experience peace. I absolutely love that.
And God also made me an artist. So everything that's put together is honestly so beautiful. I just look at it and go, oh my goodness, God, you did this. Wow.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say too, before I forget, if people go to Rena Groot, RenaGroot, on my Facebook page, there's a place where they can sign up for the free affirmations. And if they sign up for that, then I have their email address and I can send them the information to join the webinar, the free webinar.
Wonderful. Okay, so y'all are hearing that. It's Rena Groot. You said Rena on Facebook. So it's RenaGroot, Rena Groot, and you can connect with her. She'll have your email, and then she can tell you about her coursework and also about the webinars. And again, those webinars are going to take place on February 10th at 1 Pacific Standard Time and February 17th at 6 Pacific Standard Time. And that will be in the description that comes along with the broadcast of this show. So you all will be able to get in contact with Rena and to find out about this beautiful, beautiful course that she will be creating. Now, I know that we're getting close to the end of our show, but I want to ask you, as I ask all of my guests, in the midst of all of the highs and lows that you have had in your life, and in this pandemic that we've been in over this last almost 2 years, how have you been able to create your peaceful existence? How have you been able to cope in this space? What are some things that you are doing in the now?
This is exactly what I'm talking about in my course, how the strategies are just so empowering. Like one of them is just meditating on God's word and speaking his word out loud. Like, for example, when I was in China, I had a nightmare about people kidnapping me for body parts.
Wow.
And then my friend from Canada sent me an email and she said, you must be really careful when you go out at night, because I've heard that in China, they're really after people's body parts. And I was like, So all of a sudden, I can't imagine why, but all of a sudden I had this spirit of fear.
Right.
And so what I did is I just started to claim God's verses, like scripture. I just said, I thank you, Lord God, that you have not given me a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And it was almost like a mantra where you say something over and over.
Right.
I would just say it over and over and over because it was like this heavy fear. And I just, as I said it, the more I said it, the more I just felt this fear just kind of dissipating.
Yes.
It would just be gone, and I would just be bathed in God's peace.
That's it. So affirmations and like you said, meditating on God's word. So that's the name of one of my books. It's called Meditating on God's Word. Yes, it is. And so,
Cool.
I mean, and that's it. It's like you said, talking about scripture, and that's beautiful that we can do that we can
Well,
have it because it's to be in our hearts. You know, we got to meditate
His
on
word
His
is
word.
powerful.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So it's wonderful that that is a way that you're living in the now. And thank you for sharing that, because we're always, again, looking for ways to help people cope and create their peaceful existence. So I love that. And again, we've given them your contact information, Rena Groot on Facebook. Is there a website that they can go to as well? Or is this the best way to get in contact with
It's
you?
also renagroot.com, and it's a blog. And it has also messages from other people as well as just from me, because sometimes it seems like there's just so much valuable information out there that I just want to share everything with
Yes.
people. And yeah.
And that's what we're always looking for. We're always looking for ways to inform. So you said we're moving from a space of fear to a space of education and to a space of empowerment. And so with that, I want to say thank you so much for coming and sharing your experiences with us, Broken to Beautiful, for talking a little bit about the course. And we're looking so forward to that. And I'm definitely going to ask you to come back and talk about it after you've gone through the first 6 weeks of the course. I would love to have you come back and you know, maybe we'll have a few of the participants come back as well, and to share that experience and some of the takeaways that they've had. I think that would be a wonderful conversation to have, because you know, it's all about the wellness journey. And you know, we're talking about where we are right now, but where will we be 6 weeks after your course, and what will that look like for some of those who are you know, will be interested in taking the course and experiencing it for themselves. So I definitely look forward to having you come back, and you know, we'll make that happen. We'll make that happen. So again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for sharing, and we look forward to all that's going to continue to transpire in your life. You know, and we're, you know, wishing you the best in all of your endeavors and all that you are looking to do, and just praying that God continues to find favor in all that you are doing for the furtherance of His kingdom. Yes.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Okay. And with that, I will say I will do it for this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. And until we see you the next time, I say peace.